Let me tell you something that no one's going to say to your face. You're emotional, you're weak, and that's why you lose. Every time you get angry and throw a tantrum, every time you sit in your room crying about your problems, every time you blame the world for how you feel, you give your power away. You hand your enemies the remote control to your mind. You think winners are emotional. You think the top G's of the world cry themselves to sleep. No, we calculate, we dominate, we move in silence and strike with precision. You can't afford to be emotional in a world run by sharks. You show weakness, the wolves circle. You panic, they pounce. You react, and boom, you're predictable. You're not dangerous when you're emotional. You're just another puppet, controlled by strings you don't even see. Control your emotions or be controlled by someone who does. That's the truth. You want to be rich. You want to be strong. You want respect. Then shut down the noise in your head. Stop overthinking. Stop reacting. Start executing. Your emotions are like a wild horse. If you don't tame it, it'll throw you off every time life gets hard. When life hits, and it will hit. When people betray you, when money disappears, when women leave, when friends fold, you don't cry. You adapt. You sharpen. You reload. The weak complain. The strong recalibrate. You ever seen a lion whine because his prey escaped? No. He stalks again. He hunts again. He doesn't let his emotions stop him from doing what he was built to do. And you were built to conquer, but you're out here being conquered by your own damn feelings. Every time you act on emotion, you step further away from greatness. You hand over your future to feelings that won't matter in a year. That's what boys do. Men think, men calculate, men execute. Let the rest of the world break down. Let them cry. Let them rant on social media. You keep your head cold. You keep your moves silent. You stay in control because when you control your emotions, you become a weapon, and weapons don't cry. They conquer. You let your emotions run the show, you already lost. This world's built by killers, not criers. That's the raw truth, and most men are too soft to hear it. They want sympathy, they want validation, but the real world doesn't give a damn about how you feel. It rewards the disciplined, the controlled, the focused. You act like your emotions make you strong, but they don't. They make you predictable. They make you weak. And weakness gets eaten alive in this game of life. Every time you lash out in anger, cry in frustration, spiral in anxiety, you're signaling to the world that you have no control. You're saying, here I am, fragile, breakable, and trust me, the world will break you. Your competition isn't crying, he's working. He's cold, calculated, dangerous. He's not feeling sorry for himself because someone hurt his feelings or because life isn't fair. He's building, he's plotting. He's getting sharper while you're getting softer. This world isn't built for the emotional man. It's built for the man who knows how to turn off the noise, to look chaos in the eye and not blink. You think the men who win wars, who build empires, who dominate industries, are emotional? No, they're killers. They move with intent. Every decision is strategic. Every move is built on logic, not feelings. That's why they win. That's why they rise when others collapse. You want to be respected. You want to be powerful, then shut off the weakness. Stop letting every little thing throw you off track. Control is power. And emotional control, that's the highest level. The man who controls how he reacts, controls outcomes. You react out of anger, you lose a deal. You react out of fear, you miss a shot. You react out of sadness. You stop showing up, but the man who stays cold, the man who feels the storm and keeps walking, that man is unstoppable. You weren't put here to be soft. You weren't born to cry your way through problems. You were built to conquer them, but that only happens when you stop giving in to every emotion that passes through your mind. You feel tired, work anyway. You feel sad, train harder. You feel angry, use it. Channel it, make it your fuel. not your excuse. That's what separates men from boys. That's what separates kings from peasants. So next time life slaps you, don't cry, smile. You're in the game now, and the game is brutal. But guess what? So are you. If you choose to control your emotions or be a slave to them, that's the line, that's the war, and every day you pick a side. You either run the show or your emotions run you into the dirt. Choose wisely, because this world doesn't slow down for criers. It bows to killers. Control is everything. If they can trigger you, they can own you. Be unshakable, be untouchable. That's not just a mindset. It's the foundation of power. You think strength is about muscles, money, alpha talk. No. Real strength is the ability to stay composed while the world tries to break you. The second you react emotionally, you've lost leverage. You've told the world, I can be moved. I can be manipulated. They want to trigger you. They want you to break character. Why? Because it gives them power. You shout back, you lose. You take things personally, you lose. You let insults, failure, or pressure crack your frame, and suddenly you're no longer in control. They are. And if someone else controls your emotions, they control your decisions. And if they control your decisions, you don't own your life anymore. You ever notice how the most dangerous men in the room are always the quietest? That's not by accident. That's discipline. That's a man who has mastered his emotions. A man who can be insulted and still think. A man who can be pushed and not move. That's what scares people. Calm under pressure. The ability to say nothing when everyone else is screaming. That's how you win. You can't be a man who's easily shaken. You can't let a comment, a glance, a tweet, or an opinion rattle your frame. You need to build a fortress inside your mind. Because once people know your buttons, they'll keep pressing them. And once they see you fold once, they'll never respect you again. You become entertainment, a puppet, a joke. But the man who doesn't flinch, he becomes legend. Being untouchable isn't about avoiding pain, it's about owning your response to it. It's about having the discipline to feel everything and still choose action over reaction. You don't need to respond to every insult. You don't need to prove yourself to everyone. Real power is silent. It's knowing that you could destroy someone, but you don't need to, because your self-control is your dominance. The modern world is built to trigger you. Social media, news, gossip, drama. It's a battlefield designed to pull you into emotion and out of power. But if you can train yourself to observe without reacting, to think instead of speak, to decide instead of defend, you become something rare. You become a man who moves differently, a man who leads while others follow their feelings. Every time you hold the line, every time you stay calm under fire, you're sharpening your edge. You're becoming a weapon. Not the kind that lashes out, but the kind that ends wars before they even begin. So ask yourself, are you in control or are you being controlled? Because only one of those men gets to win. Only one of them becomes unshakable. Untouchable, unstoppable. Real men don't scream, they observe, they calculate, they strike when it's time. No panic, just precision. That's what separates the boys from the killers. Anyone can yell, anyone can complain. That's emotional chaos, and chaos is weakness. The world doesn't respect loud desperation. It respects silence backed by control, by discipline, by purpose. A real man doesn't need to prove anything with volume. He proves it with results, with action, with the undeniable dominance of self-mastery. You want to be respected, then stop reacting like a child. The second you scream, you've already lost. You've shown your hand. You've told everyone you're rattled, emotionally unstable, unfit to lead. Screaming is for the weak. It's for people who have no strategy, only impulse. A real man watches. He reads the room. He picks up patterns, body language, energy. And when the time is right, he moves. And that move ends the game. Clean, efficient, ruthless. Control is everything. Reaction is slavery. If you react emotionally, you are no longer making decisions from strength. You're making them from weakness. You're giving power to the opponent, to the environment, to anyone but yourself. You're saying, I don't have control, so I'll just explode. That's not strength. That's surrender. That's why you lose deals, lose respect, lose trust. Because people don't trust the unstable. Watch the best fighters in the world. Do they yell in the ring? No, they're focused, they're locked in. Everything they do is measured, timed, deliberate. That's how you win, through patience, not panic. Through observation, not outbursts. Real men don't act out, they wait. They listen, they track every detail, every opening, every weakness. Then, when the time is perfect, they strike, and when they do, it's lethal. No warning, no noise, just results. You think people don't notice when you panic. When you act emotionally, they see it. They use it. In business, in relationships, in life. Your emotional leakage becomes someone else's advantage. But if they look at you and can't read a thing, no reaction, no weakness, just cold focus. They fear you. That fear is power. Real power is calm under pressure. It's breathing slowly while the world burns. It's choosing silence when everyone else is screaming, because silence can't be misquoted. Silence can't be traced, but it speaks louder than any noise. It says, I see everything, I need nothing, and I'll act when it benefits me. If you want to win, you need to stop reacting and start strategizing. Stop wasting energy proving your worth. Prove it with control, with execution, with precision. Every word you speak, every move you make, it must be intentional, tactical, calculated. This world isn't for the loud. It's for the lethal. And lethal men don't scream. They strike. Stop whining about how you feel. Your feelings are irrelevant. Results are what define you. That's the brutal truth most people don't want to hear. We live in a world that celebrates emotion, glorifies weakness, and tells you it's okay to be soft. But reality doesn't operate on feelings, it operates on action. On outcome, on what you produce when it counts. No one's handing out trophies for effort. No one's clapping for your emotional outbursts. Life judges you by what you deliver, not what you feel. You wake up tired. No one cares. You're stressed. So is everyone. You feel anxious, afraid, or uncertain. Welcome to the club. The difference is, some men let those feelings dictate their day, and others override them with discipline. If you're constantly whining about how hard life is, how overwhelmed you are, or how unfair everything feels, you've already accepted defeat. You've submitted to emotion, and emotion is a liar. It tells you to quit. It tells you to slow down. It tells you to retreat when pressure hits. That's how losers operate. Winners don't care about how they feel. They care about performance. They care about impact. They get up regardless. They train regardless. They build regardless, because they understand one thing. Success doesn't respond to emotion. It responds to consistency, to grit, to execution. You think top performers wake up motivated every day. Hell no, they wake up with problems too, but they've trained themselves to push through, to act no matter what. That's power. You want respect. You want wealth. You want to dominate in life. Then kill the habit of whining. Feelings are temporary, but what you do with them builds legacy. Crying about your situation won't change it. Blaming others won't fix it. Only results will. You don't get to skip the work and still expect the reward. That's not how this world works. That's the mindset of the weak. You have two choices every day: be ruled by how you feel, or be driven by what you've committed to. One leads to mediocrity, The other leads to greatness. And here's the truth. No one's coming to save you. Not your friends, not your family, not society. The only person who can save you is you. But that version of you doesn't cry. He doesn't complain. He puts his head down and gets the job done. So stop whining. Start building. Stop feeling sorry for yourself and start acting like someone who's ready to win. Results don't care if you had a bad day. They don't care if you're tired, heartbroken, or broke. They only show up for the ones who keep going, who shut off emotion and turn on execution. Your feelings may lie to you, but results never will. Let that be your focus. Let that be your standard. Anger, fear, sadness. They're tools. Use them. Don't let them use you. Channel that fire into dominance. Emotions are not your enemy. Weakness is. Most people are taught to run from those feelings, to avoid them, to suppress them. But that's why they never grow. That's why they stay average, because they let emotions drown them instead of fueling their rise. The strongest men in history didn't eliminate emotion. They mastered it. They weaponized it. You feel angry. Good. That's raw energy. That's fire in your veins. But don't waste it on shouting, breaking things, or blaming others. Use it. Take that anger and pour it into the gym, into your craft, into your business. Let it sharpen your focus, not cloud it. When you feel angry, you're being shown something. A boundary violated, a limit reached, a challenge in front of you. That's power. That's feedback from life. But only the disciplined can translate that into action. Same with fear. Fear is not weakness. It's awareness. It's your body telling you this moment matters, that something is on the line. But again, only the weak retreat. The strong stand firm. They feel the fear and they move anyway. That's how confidence is built. That's how resilience is forged. You don't grow by running from fear. You grow by walking through it, step by step, until it bows to you. And sadness. Don't ignore it, feel it, but don't live in it. Sadness is telling you something is missing, something's off. Use that signal to realign. Let it humble you. Let it fuel your discipline. Let it make you dangerous. Some of the greatest achievements were born from pain. Men who were broken, betrayed, abandoned. But instead of quitting, they built something so powerful that no one could deny them again. That's the secret. You take the pain and you convert it. You don't waste time crying over it. You don't let it destroy your routine. You don't hand your emotions to the world and say, "Fix me." You fix yourself. You use the fire. You transform it into something that elevates you above the rest, because the average man avoids pain, but the extraordinary man uses it. Think of every setback, every loss, every emotional storm like a weapon that can either cut you down or cut through the noise. The choice is yours. You either let emotions dominate you or you dominate them. The strongest men aren't empty. They're full of emotion, but they've got it locked in a cage, trained, ready to unleash only when it serves the mission. That's how you become unstoppable. You don't need to be numb. You need to be in control. Let anger build your body. Let fear sharpen your edge. Let sadness fuel your legacy. That's how real men move. Quiet, focused, fueled by fire, but ruled by purpose. You fold under pressure, you stay broke, you stay weak. Winners breathe through chaos and rise above it. That's the truth no one wants to hear, because it means your excuses are worthless. Pressure is the test. Pressure is the moment that separates contenders from pretenders. When the heat is on, most people collapse. They let their emotions take over, they panic, they quit. That's why they stay at the bottom, because they've trained themselves to run the second life turns up the intensity. You want to be rich, respected, feared, then pressure must become your natural environment. You don't fold, you adapt, you focus. While everyone else is breaking down, you breathe deeper, you think sharper, you move smarter. That's what makes a winner. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's the ability to stay composed when chaos surrounds you. Pressure is a privilege. It's the gateway to the next level, but only for those strong enough to carry it. If you break every time life gets uncomfortable, you'll never grow, you'll never build, you'll never dominate. Winners know that pressure exposes the weak and refines the strong. It burns off the softness, the excuses, the hesitation. What's left is pure discipline, pure fire. The man who can remain calm under pressure is always dangerous. He's unshakable while others are emotional, reactive, and scattered. He's thinking 3 moves ahead. That's how you win battles before they even start. Pressure doesn't make him weaker. It makes him focused. It gives him an edge. You see, most people are waiting for perfect conditions to take action. They want everything to feel right, look right, be easy, but champions don't wait. They perform in chaos. They don't ask for calm. They bring order to storms. They don't fold when the odds are against them. They rise. Pressure reveals your character. You say you're hungry. Let's see how you handle stress. You say you're built different. Let's see how you move when nothing is going your way. It's easy to be motivated when life is smooth. But the man who keeps pushing when everything says stop, that's the man who earns everything. When you fold under pressure, you build the habit of quitting. You teach yourself to give up the moment it gets tough. That's a weak man's life, broke mindset, always running from responsibility, from challenge, from growth. But the man who trains under pressure, who performs under stress, he becomes indestructible. He learns to rely on himself. He learns to lead. So when life gets heavy, don't cry. Don't complain. Get focused. Get colder. Dig deeper. Pressure isn't your enemy. It's your proving ground. Winners breathe through it. They thrive in it. And that's why they rise while the rest stay stuck. You want a different life. Then stop folding. Start rising. Discipline isn't about motivation. It's about doing what needs to be done even when your emotions beg you to quit. That's the difference between average and unstoppable. Most people are waiting to feel good before they take action. They're waiting for some spark, some perfect mood, some magical alignment of emotions to push them forward. That's why they never win, because they've built their life around how they feel, not what needs to get done. You think champions are motivated every day. You think killers wake up excited to grind, to suffer, to push through pain. No, they wake up and execute regardless. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel, it commands action. It's the voice that says, I don't care if you're tired, show up. I don't care if you're stressed, work anyway. I don't care if you're broken, keep going. That's real strength. That's what separates the leaders from the sheep. Motivation is a luxury. Discipline is survival. In a world where most people are slaves to their moods, the disciplined man becomes unstoppable. He's dangerous because he doesn't rely on emotion to dictate his performance. He's trained himself to move forward no matter what. Whether it's raining or sunny, whether he's up or down, he doesn't make excuses. He makes results. You think it's easy to get up before the sun, to train when your body hurts, to work when your mind is exhausted. It's not, but discipline doesn't care. It steps in when everything else breaks down. It's what gets you to the gym when you're sore. It's what keeps you grinding when motivation fades. It's what separates those who fantasize from those who finish. The truth is, your emotions will lie to you. They'll tell you to rest when you need to move. They'll tell you to quit when you're close to the breakthrough. They'll scream for comfort when discipline demands struggle. And if you keep listening to those emotions, you'll live your life in circles. Always starting, never finishing. Always planning, never executing. You want to build a strong body, a sharp mind, a powerful life. Then discipline has to become your default, not just something you use when you feel like it, but something you depend on when everything else falls apart. That's when you know you're dangerous, when the world goes soft and you stay hard. When others quit and you keep swinging, that's when you separate. That's when you rise. Discipline is doing it anyway, when it's hard, when it hurts, when it's lonely. That's the price of greatness. That's what men are built for, not comfort, not ease, but structure, control, execution. So stop chasing motivation. Stop needing to feel good. Start moving with purpose, no matter what. Because feelings fade, but discipline wins forever. When you master your emotions, you become a weapon. And a weapon doesn't cry, it conquers. That's the kind of power most men never touch, because they spend their lives reacting instead of controlling. They let emotions lead the way, sadness, anger, fear, and wonder why they're constantly behind, constantly broken, constantly weak. You cannot build an empire with shaky hands. You cannot win a war if you're crying every time it gets uncomfortable. Mastery begins with control. Control over yourself, over your impulses, over your emotions. That's real power. You can lift all the weights in the world, stack cash, wear a suit. But if your emotions own you, you're still a slave. A man who can't control himself will always be controlled by someone else. The man who's mastered his emotions isn't cold. He's calculated. He doesn't panic. He doesn't fold. He feels everything and still moves like nothing can touch him. That's rare. That's lethal. You want to be a weapon, then act like one. A weapon doesn't hesitate. A weapon doesn't whine. It's focused. It's sharp. It's deadly in silence. The world respects weapons, not whiners. Not victims, not men who crumble under pressure. When you master your emotions, you don't react. You respond. That small shift is what makes killers stand out. A weak man lashes out. A strong man chooses when to strike, how to strike, and makes it count. Emotion isn't weakness unless it controls you. Feel it. Yes, you say. Absolutely. But let it drive you, not drown you. Anger can build an empire when focused. Pain can forge legacy when channeled. Fear can sharpen instincts when managed. But when those things control you, they destroy everything you're trying to build. A weapon without control is just chaos. But a weapon in the hands of a master, that's unstoppable. Think about it. When life throws chaos your way, and you don't flinch, people notice. They respect it. They fear it. Because silence under pressure screams power. Most people scream to be heard, but real men don't need to scream. They just show up and take over. That's what mastering your emotions does. It puts you in a position where nothing external can shake your internal world. You stop being reactive, and you start becoming intentional. Every move is calculated. Every response is a strategy. And while the rest are arguing, breaking down, and falling apart, you remain composed. You move like a weapon, a silent, efficient, focused machine. You don't get rattled, you get results. In this world, the loudest man loses, the most emotional man breaks, but the man who keeps his mind cold and his purpose burning, that man conquers. He becomes something people can't manipulate, can't predict, can't stop. He becomes a force, not a follower. When you master your emotions, you stop being a man. They start calling you a weapon, and weapons don't cry. They conquer.